I don't want to be stuck in that cycle. You need money, so you have to take whatever job you can get. Then you work that job, realize you're miserable. Hey friends, it's Alex from Following Alex. If you can tell from my earrings that I made, the sparkles under my eyes, and the fact that I'm binge watching Euphoria, you may be able to tell that I've recently had a quarter life crisis. Since I've turned 20 on, I have been completely struggling with my self-identity and my purpose, and that's kind of what this video is about. So this is a 2-month update from the Great Resignation. So I said I was going to give an update every 2 months or when something significant happened. Honestly, nothing too significant has happened thus far, and I've had a lot of comments and questions. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you exactly what topics I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to put them right here. And then you can either listen to it all, because I'm going to be dropping feelings, thoughts, advice through all of it, or if you're looking for something specific, feel free to click through. How the past 2 months have been. So I'm not going to go into detail into my story, because one, it's kind of personal, and I've shared a little bit of it in this video. I'll link it here. I think it appears here. But basically, I had a job, which is in my field of study, that I really thought was going to have all the answers. I thought it was going to be my career. I was going to stick with it. It was going to give me it was gonna fulfill me, and it didn't. And I decided that I was making a big change. So it left me with a few more questions about what my purpose is and what I'm actually really passionate about. It definitely tipped my world upside down. And I wanna just make a disclaimer that anybody who is satisfied with jobs that people are quitting, or like the 9 to 5, like hustling, like that kind of lifestyle, that's perfectly fine. I'm not shaming that. My issue with work culture is we have developed so much as a species. Everything has evolved, and it's our attitudes towards work and work culture have stayed the same. And realistically, not everybody thrives in that kind of environment. When you're faced with jobs that are all the same and they're not changing the way they work, it kind of forces you to adapt to that and find what works for you. Or if they're not kind of giving you room to grow, you need to go on your own way, which is kind of what I had to do. So the past 2 months, I've been finding my routine, how I structure my day to make me most productive, and just kind of figuring out what works for me and what doesn't. Because when you work a 9 to 5 or any kind of shift work, you're given a set schedule and you have to work with that. I'm trying to find what works for me and then have my job fit into that. So I started freelancing, and I do have some really great clients, and I'm finding a lot of success with it, but not enough to call it a full-time job, not even a part-time job right now. I'm just making a bit of extra income, but I'm learning and I'm growing, and I do have high hopes for that in the future, but we all have to start somewhere. I'll get more into my finances, but freelancing is not giving me all the money that I need, and I did have a bit of a safety net, but that is slowly running out. So I have been applying to jobs, but I have been making sure to apply to jobs that are remote, are either in my field of study, and not just in my field of study, but what I'm actually passionate about within my field of study. So I'm getting a little bit more niche with it, and I'm also applying to jobs that I just think will be fun and creative, but also give me enough freedom that I can stick to my passions and my own projects at my school. But my worry about that is when I got this last job, I thought it was going to be everything, because it was everything I've ever wanted. And then when I got it, I realized that, okay, this isn't actually what I want, which is a very important realization. You need to have the I don't want this to know what you want, but it does make it a little bit more scary. So I've just been working on personal projects as well. I'm YouTubing, I'm doing some other personal things. This is my time. I finally have the time, and I feel the knowledge and the courage to do it. So this is it, hit or miss now. And I've also been defining what freedom means, how to hustle and do projects and freelancing and school, but also still getting that freedom that I so badly wanted when I left my job. So that's just some things that I've been dealing with in the past 2 months. Again, if you want any of that in more detail, leave me a comment or a message. But let's go on to the next part. I'll put her channel here, but it's Christina Huang. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. She brought up a very important topic that I also want to talk about, because it's really been weighing on me. And it's about the expectation that when you quit your job, you're going to be happy. That's the answer to your sadness, or if you've been struggling, it's going to be your answer. And the reality is, it isn't. When you leave your job, finally, you do feel relief and you feel happiness and you get that rush. But it doesn't last very long, because once you are finally free of your job and that is not taking up your time, one, you have more time to reflect and actually think about it. But two, you have no choice but to face, okay, I got rid of the job, that's over with. What else is keeping me unhappy? I think that's both powerful and paralyzing. So I was really happy, and I've actually been in a rut for the past like 2 weeks. I'm kind of out of it this week because I've been defining what freedom means and trying to enjoy life a little bit more. But I definitely had that time where I was like, okay, I'm free. What else? Why do I feel like this? Why am I not happy? Why am I not thriving, I guess? And I think it's because, one, you have to unlearn certain things, which I'll talk about in a second, like expectations and fear and doubt, but you also have to learn about yourself. You actually have to dive deep if you want to know what you're really passionate about. I know this is like a very deep conversation, but that's the reality of what has been happening since I left. You have to deal with those things, because if you are unhappy and you're seeking happiness in a job, you're probably going to keep settling or finding yourself in situations you don't want to be, or masking whatever is actually bothering you. What I think is actually bothering me is I've convinced myself that the life I want is not attainable for me. I convinced myself that I'm going to embarrass myself, or I'm going to embarrass people involved with me if I go after what I want, which is ridiculous, but that is more or less what's really in my heart right now. So that's what I'm dealing with. I've definitely made more of an effort to acknowledge those feelings and work with those feelings, and that's kind of where I've got the next two topics. That's where they've come from, so let's talk about it. It's the embarrassment or expectations or pressure from other people, especially when they ask you like how your job is going and you have to tell them that you've quit, or they ask you what you do for work and you have to say like, well, I don't work. For the longest time, I wasn't telling people I was freelancing, and part of it was I didn't really want to explain it because not everybody knows what that is. The other part was it didn't feel like a job because I'm not making a full-time career out of it, but I want to. And the fact is I spend a lot of time and I work very hard for my clients, so I've recently started saying I'm freelancing, and that is good enough. And honestly, I hate that we're so driven by our careers that is what defines us. And I know, okay, we're about to get deep. Me saying that is very significant because in one sense, your job does not define you, because you are so much more than your job. You know, we have to take what we can get sometimes, and sometimes there's only so many opportunities. So even if you have the best job in the world, in your heart you want better, but you're limited. I don't think a job should define you. We are all so much more deeper, and we have much more better interests and personalities than that. But another thing is, in a sense, your job also defines you, and that's also why I've kind of made this choice to go after what I'm truly in love with, because when you put all your time into something, all your time and energy, eventually that is some form of definition of you. And it might not be the true you, but it is the you that you are being right now. And that should also push you to look for options, because if you are wearing yourself out and you are tired, you are cranky, you are unhappy, and you're consumed by your job, you are losing the true you. You are losing your true purpose. You are losing your true passion, because you are putting all of yourself into something that doesn't deserve you. And I'm not saying it's less than you, I'm just saying it's not the right fit. You are smashing that puzzle piece in and it's not right. So I just feel ridiculous. And not only am I freelancing, I am doing a master's degree. I am studying, I am working my butt off to get my master's degree. How come I just can't look at someone and say, oh, I'm doing my master's degree? I can do that. It's not that people aren't letting me do that. I have this embarrassment that I'm not working a full-time job. I have an embarrassment that I'm 25 and I want to be creative. I'm embarrassed that I'm 25 and I'm just in school. I'm embarrassed because I'm freelancing and doing something very different. And it just really upsets me that I've let myself feel like that. And yes, it's let myself, because these people don't mean any harm when they're asking me that. I do think we need to kind of step away from that kind of introduction, like, what do you do for work? But I also don't think it's fair to say that it's their fault for making you feel like that, because it's obviously my own insecurities and projections. If someone judges you because of your job, it says a lot more about them than it does you. So this is overcoming fear and doubt when you're both in the job you want to leave and out of it. Something that really helped me, because when I was with my job, like I said, I was going to stick with it and it was going to be my everything. That was my intention when I got the job. I hadn't updated my resume because I thought it's a good job, it's in my industry, I'm doing a good job, why can't I just be happy with it? I was trying to like pressure myself to just enjoy it because I'm so lucky to have it, which, come on, I don't need to do that. That's ridiculous. So when I buffed up my resume, I realized that how much this job has taught me, and it's okay to appreciate a bad job. If your job is bad or you are just unhappy, you can still appreciate what you've gained from it, because you have definitely gained something. Even if it's just the insight into what you don't want, that is still something you learn from that job. You wouldn't have that insight without that job. So when I was like doing up my resume, I really just realized that even though I feel like I'm 2 steps behind because I still haven't found my passion, I'm actually very much ahead because now I have all these new skills and I've learned so much and I've grown so much, so that kind of helped me. Next, I recommend that you keep your business private. Funny when I'm making videos about this, but you'll notice that when I tell you I'm working on projects, I don't really get into specifically what I'm working on, and I actually have a project I've told one person about, and it's because I wanted to succeed so bad that I need to put my all into it without any external pressures, because like I said, I get embarrassed very easily, I get discouraged very easily, I'm dealing with insecurities of what people will think of me, so I'm trying to keep my business private, and it's okay to do that. At any point in when you are trying to leave your job or get a new job, you don't have to tell anybody about it. You can work on side projects in your spare time. If someone asks what you're doing, make something up. They don't need to know. You don't need to share. And you could just say, I'm working on a project. If they want more details, you can just say, not yet, it's not ready. And you can obviously still talk about it without letting go of details that would hinder your success. And so what I mean like that, I'm talking to you guys, but I'm not giving you exact details into what I'm doing, so nobody can come in the comments and be like, you're gonna fail at that, because they don't know what I'm doing. How could you know I'm gonna fail if you don't know what I'm doing, right? If you haven't looked in job boards recently, you do not know what's out there. Especially for remote jobs, the possibilities are endless right now because remote jobs are really spiking. There's new opportunities, and those are really good opportunities if you're trying to get out and you have the ability to work from home or work on your own or work online. So it's definitely something to look into, and even like look into freelancing if you want. You can offer any service as a freelancer. Anything you're good at, you can offer, so look into it. But it's just like crazy how many jobs are out there that you would not even think are possible. So I definitely recommend looking into that. It gives you a bit of hope. The last thing to do to stop adding fear and doubt to your life is to stop comparing. Maybe you are watching this video and you were like, she is so lucky to have taken the chance and to have done it, because when I was watching videos, I thought the same thing. I was like, I want to be that person. I want to do it. But if you're letting comparison make you upset or jealous or hinder you, that's not helping. But comparison can be good when it's motivating and inspiring. When you're looking at that person and you're saying, I want to be like them, I want to have the courage to do that, and it helps you get the courage to do that, that's good. But if you're comparing yourself in a way that I'm never going to have that life isn't attainable for me, anything like that, then maybe you need to stop following these people or looking at their content because it's not helping you. So stop comparing. You are in the right place at the right time. Something I like to tell myself is, imagine the success you want. Imagine if you got it even 3 years ago. Just think about that. Especially with this pandemic playing a role, just think about that. If you would have reached all your goals 3 years ago, would you really have been as ready for it as you are now? And maybe for you, some of you, the answer is yes, but your success would have looked completely different if you would have had it at that time when you were a different person and living in a different world. The pandemic would have impacted it. Who you are as a person would have impacted how you approach success and how you kept it or lost it, right? Because for me, if I would have got success in what I want 3 years ago, it would have been really bad. You have to kind of believe in timing a little bit. The last thing I'm going to talk about, which is obviously very high in demand discussion, is finances. Because unfortunately, money is controlling all our lives. It's just what it is. So I want to make it very clear that I had a safety net when I quit. And by safety net means I saved. I always save, and I know that not everybody has the ability to do that. I'm not going to act like that is accessible to everybody, but if you can save, even just if it's every month, it might prolong when you can leave your job, but it would help. You really have to look at your situation, but I did have a safety net because I saved up. However, my safety net is coming to an end very, very soon. My school year starts this month. Tuition is due soon. My tuition, very expensive. And because I'm doing school internationally, I can't get a student loan. Well, as far as I know, I can't get a student loan. So I have a lot of money saved up, and I know that my parents could help me if I needed it, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to ask my parents for anything. I'm 25, I made this decision, I need to deal with it, basically, is how I feel. So knowing that I do have some options stops the stress. I'm very privileged. Not everybody is going to relate to that, and not everybody is going to like that. Some people will relate to me, some people won't. And some people will only relate to certain parts of this video, and that's perfectly fine. That's what communication is, that's what connection is. you know? So I am starting to worry. My freelancing has skyrocketed this past month. I'm very happy for that, but it's not near what I need it to be because I have to pay my life bills from my dog and I have to pay for school. So realistically, I need something to change very soon. So I spoke about how I was applying to particular jobs that I would like or that would still give me a little bit of freedom. I really want to be careful with this, and I've been applying actively because I don't want to wait until I absolutely need money to start applying to jobs, because then I'll be forced to take whatever I can get. If you start applying for jobs here and there of things you like, hopefully you'll get something that you actually enjoy by the time you actually need money. And if you're working a job, start applying. The worst they can do isn't say no. If you have time, use it. And so what I mean is, if you have a safety net or savings, or even just you're working casually and it's getting you by and you have free time, you need to use it, okay? If you were quitting your job to pursue something, then you better be putting in the work. And I know that kind of sounds like, okay, but I want freedom. To have freedom and peace in this economy, you need money. So I think an important thing to realize is that when you quit and you start chasing your dream, it's going to require a lot of work. Probably more work than you're putting at your job. When you love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. Like, I've been hustling nonstop, but I'm so happy. I don't want to be stuck in that cycle where you need money, so you have to take whatever job you can get, then you work that job, realize you're miserable, quit, need money, so you have to take whatever job you can get. You know what I mean? You really have to put in the work, apply, look at your options, try new things to try and break out of that cycle. And that is what I'm so hoping to do. And I really hope that my next 2-month update is huge, or something huge happens before then I update you. Because I knew the first 2 months were going to be figuring me out, kind of doing some reflection, working on routines, working on my productivity, working on my self-discipline, and I'm still undergoing that, and I'm gonna be always working on that. But these next 2 months are the hustle. This is me putting my heart and soul into this because I want something out of it. So I really hope in 2 months that I can give you a really great and inspiring update, and I'm going to work so hard for it, not just for myself, but for anybody watching this. I want to be an example of what you can achieve, because I know how it feels to work somewhere and be unhappy, and I don't want that for anybody. I think that's enough for one video. It's a hard topic to talk about, and I know not everybody can relate to everything, and there are going to be some people watching this video that absolutely can't quit their job right now and they want to so bad, and I just want to tell you to hold on to hope. You can start somewhere, whether it's just looking at jobs, reading certain books on certain things. There are free courses out there now, even just watching YouTube videos and learning something. I really want to help you, and if there's anything you want me to touch on or go into more detail, I'm totally happy to do that. Like I said, leave a comment, message me on Instagram, and I cannot wait for my next update, and I hope it's a big one. So, see you, and thank you so much for watching my video. Bye!